It's 10th of March 1941. Welcome to La Rochelle in France. You're looking at the U-48. The crew just back from sinking the HMS Royal Oak are exhausted, are in desperate need of a holiday, and holiday we shall grant them. Just before we do, top tip. We're going to use the time that the crew are on holiday to pack the boat all the way up to the rafters, and it's kind of important you pack the boat first, then send the crew on holiday, even though it's going to happen at the same time. Because if you send the crew on holiday first, anything that they've got in their pockets gets unloaded into the sub, and that kind of prevents you from packing it to the rafters. And so, a weird sort of game-ism thing that we've got to work around, but we're going to work around it regardless. I'll have one of those. Yep. Give me some vegetables. Yep. I will take some more armor-piercing rounds for the storage room. Fuel, yes. Torpedoes, we'll have a mixture of Tech 3s and the Tech 1 with the new lookup patrol that we have, or the zigzag program rather. And last but not least, 4 cups of coffee. With the loading underway, my crew needs a break, and I like to go for... Where are we here? Depends if I've got research on. If I've got research on, it's the German Alps, get stuff done faster. But if not, I like to go for this one. The crew's energy depleted 50% slower for the following day, 10 days upon return. Yes, please. Select. Incidentally, we've got a Naval Academy course here. Not seen that before, so we'll use one of our off-duty... officers that we've not used. We've got Eric Brookmeyer here. He's a level 3. Wow. Okay, we'll send him. Who knows what that does? We'll soon find out. We also have enough experience points to research the new accumulator upgrade, so we'll get that done as well. All of this happening while the main crew are on holiday. Very nice. Let's see, what did we get from the Naval Academy then? It says complete. Well, what does that give us then? We'll have to see. Captain Klaus, he stays with the boat and he's by himself. We'll have to wander through the empty boat because we're not going to get an opportunity at the other time. So this is the forward torpedo room, and, you know, there's the big clue. 4 massive torpedo tubes, also used as the bunk bed by many of the crew. These beds fold away every time they need to either reload or maintain the torpedoes. And so if you're to sleep in here, you're going to have a lot of disturbed nights. Moving aft then is, so we're slowly increasing the quality of the beds. We've got the officer's compartment here partially. And then here's the captain's. He's got his own little curtain to offer him a tiny bit of privacy. His own bed and his desk there that we can use. Captain deliberately placed close by both the radio room here and the hydrophone guy here, and so if either important communications or some sort of contact comes in, he can be the first to know about it and the first to then start issuing orders. Coming through then, we've got the main of the sub in the middle. We've got the maps down here, navigation and so forth. We've got the dive plane controls here. All the valve controls that need to be spun round. And we've got the depth measuring. Let's have a look. There we go. It reckons, what was that? 23 meters. And so in theory, 23 meters below our keel, we could dive down for. So until we were to reach the bottom. We've got compressors here and pumps, electric. So these are, the compressor fills you know, the air up using the battery. It's the electric one, and the pump gets rid of water that are through the bilges. The crew, as well, when the boat is flooding, can bring water in buckets in here, and the pump will try and force that water outside. Whether the pump can keep up with the leak is another matter. We've got another room here. Tables that fold out for food and for games and so forth when nothing else is going on. Here we've got the kitchen, supplying food, the galley for the entire sub, as well as the sink. And then over here is storage room. and the second toilet for the crew that is also used as a storage cupboard. There are 2 toilets on board. The other one's at the far side, but they only use the one. The second one is used for food. And the crew, some of the patrols were so long that they often had signs of scurvy when they were coming back, even though they would pack the boat to the rafter. And one very funny story from a U-boat guy that I wish to share here, and he said that you know, they would literally pack stuff everywhere, and so you'd have like even like food wedged in between gaps like this. And he said on one such occasion they had this big salami sausage wedged between some copper pipes, and he said, and when they were depth charged, he says, I couldn't tell you who was stood next to me, who was stood behind me, but I have this vivid recollection of this salami between the pipes having been shocked loose by the depth charge. And he said, and the salami flew through the submarine, and he's just one of his real vivid memories, and he laughed about it now, but he said, you know, there was nothing that even came close to the feeling of being down there depth charged. Further back then, here we've got the main engine room, the diesels, 2 separate engines, one on each side, can be hooked up in such a way that one engine can run both propellers, 2 propellers at the back, and so if one of them needs to be shut down for maintenance or whatever, they can continue running on the other. I'm not sure really that's simulated in the game, but certainly that was possible. The diesels also hook up to the generators, and the generators allow the batteries, which is the batteries litter the underneath panel in here, to power not just the electrical systems on board, but of course the electric motors. And so these are back here. The electrics on the U-boat, that's, you know, electric propeller for when they're operating underwater. Clearly you can't run the diesels underwater, although we have had the snorkel, so we can run them at periscope depth now. But generally speaking, that's, you know, not to be done. So certainly when you're near the enemy or they've got planes looking for you overhead. And so the electrics here. And then last but not least, here we've got the diesel air compressor. So if you need to get air into the, you know, compressed up quickly, the compressed air, you know, we used to get rid of the water when we're below the surface, force the water out. And then with that, we, you know, the water's heavy, the air's lighter, we lose weight, and with that, we surface the boat. I always like to use the electric compressor up the top just because it saves on fuel. But sometimes, you know, if you don't have much time on the surface, you got to run the diesel one just because it does the job much quicker, even though it does make more noise. And, you know, so there we go. And here as well, where the crew chuck their pill out. And then finally, the rear torpedo tube. The pill, what I'm talking about, you know, that countermeasure device. It's this little thing. It looks like a pill, big pill. It's full of chemicals and whatnot. And it goes into the sea and it fizzles away and causes bubbles and cavitation and noise, and not just the sound of it that enemy hydrophone guys hear that they go after, but the huge mass of bubbles that get generated actually reflects the destroyer pings that go down. And so, you know, it's a 2-for-1, and certainly at this stage of the war, we're in 1941, is very effective indeed. And so with that, the tour of the boat is over. It's March the 31st and the crew are back, and we're about to get our orders. The ship is ready to sail. Incidentally, in real life, the entire crew did not go on holiday like that. What would happen was the boat would come back from a patrol. There would be 2 weeks until the next patrol. During that week, the crew would split in half. One half of the crew would go on holiday for 1 week. The other crew would remain behind with the boat, would help with the rearming, the reloading, the repairs, showing the mechanics where certain problems were, stuff like that. And then at the end of the week, they would swap over. So both halves of the crew each got a week off, but the boat was never left unattended. Certainly, it wasn't just with the captain and that's it. It's the 31st of March 1941, and the U-48 sets sail, pulling out of dock La Rochelle. Orders are to patrol off the Spanish coastline and sink at least 7,000 tons. Quick look on the map then. This is one of the shortest distances I've ever had to cover to reach the patrol area. See, we're just out of the port of La Rochelle there on the western coast of France. And it's not even 750 kilometers. In fact, if I put our navigation to the very edge, we got 731. You could argue we've maybe covered 4 or 5 kilometers already, but incidentally, very, very close. 31st of March 1941 then, quick update on the map. Spain, Portugal, Southern Ireland, neutral at this point. Clearly the UK is with the Allies. Greece still hanging on as well. And stuff on the North African side currently going quite well there for Rommel. We can see him making huge gains there across Libya. Technically, it's in the Italian possession, but they needed the help. Albania also in control. Yugoslavia at this point is being attacked, and if not already, it's going to be any moment now. The Italians and Germans went after Yugoslavia early 41. Not yet starting on Russia, of course. That is something that is brewing up. Not too many months away now. Currently, Poland divided there in agreement. Looks like Bulgaria has also joined the Axis at this point. And with that, we'll continue mission. It's 1 a.m. on April Fool's, and one of the advantages that can soon become a disadvantage of the crew having been on holiday and everybody getting this little bit of a bonus with regards to how long it is until they get tired is that everybody is going to be awake at the same time, i.e. now, and that everybody is going to get tired at the same time, i.e. in a few hours' time. And so with the crew management difficulty, all my difficulty settings are turned up. We're going to basically have to tell people, tired or not, go for a rest because they're going to have to come on duty in a bit. So here we are then. Captain Klaus, go to bed. Knud, go to bed. Hoffman, the second watch officer, the XO, I guess we could call him. We've got a third here. Go to bed. And I'll tell you what, even Schuster, you go to bed and all. And with that, I think just over half the officers are in bed. We've got one guy who remains on the watch, one on the engines and one maintaining the torpedoes. We may even give him a hand, actually. He's got a lot of torpedoes to deal with. Morning then, it's 8:25. We've just received an important message from headquarters, and so you can review that with me here and now. A very valuable radar prototype is being transported on Empire Ability cargo ship, headed to the port of Gibraltar, where it will be fitted onto a dedicated warship for testing. Sinking this ship will noticeably slow the enemy progress in developing this technology. We estimate that its current passing through a square Bravo Fox 713 course 212 degrees. And so we're going to have to take a look at that. The ship is moving in a convoy traveling at a speed of 13 km/h. Well, that is very helpful. That means we will not have to measure the speed, at least initially, but we're not going to make the mistake. We learned from our lessons before. Any very large ships, sort of cruiser size, seem to come almost to a complete stop once the action starts in a convoy. No doubt so that her engines are not preventing, her engines being huge, not preventing the destroyers from being able to hear us below. So here we see where she is and heading roughly this direction. And so we're going to have to go up to flank speed. And we'll move down here to intercept. And I'm going to erase some of these old markings from previous missions. And so let's just get rid of those as well. All right, then. So let's continue mission. I'll see you when we're a bit closer. Technically reached our patrol sector now. And so while we continue to chase the convoy, it's currently 7:25 in the evening, April 1st. We'll certainly radio this off, and this, even though we're in pursuit of the convoy, we'll start counting down our patrol distance where we have to cover 2,250 kilometers. We're still at flank speed. We're still hot on the pursuit of the OG convoy, who, they may be 350 or so kilometers away, but because we're chasing the convoy, not quite from behind, but certainly from a quartering angle, I estimate we're going to have to go flank speed for at least 500 kilometers till we can intercept these guys. Following morning, we just received a communication from the U-96, no less. Freighter in Naval Square, Bravo Echo 999, southern course, fast speed, can't intercept. Okie doke. Looks very close to our convoy that we're going after, incidentally. Quick update on the situation then. It's the 2nd of April, coming up to 10 minutes past 8 in the morning. We've covered the entire patrol sector and we're continuing to push through at flank speed. The convoy now not too far away at all. Quick guesstimation there, roughly 60 kilometers or so. We're continuing to close the gap. I'll bring you back. I expect the smokestacks will be in sight shortly. Well, here we are, about 11 a.m. Convoy has been intercepted, or at least partially. Looks like I've got ID on 4 smokestacks. I think a 5th one just coming over the top of the horizon now. And so at this point, no point closing the gap. We'll cut the engines off, we'll swing around 90 degrees, and we'll wait. We'll dive once the convoy is dangerously close. Well, at the very least, we'll dive just before the convoy gets dangerously close. So we're currently executing our turn to the port side, 90 degrees. I really like the way that this sea, you know, the way that they've captured the colours and the froth. Not just the waves, but, you know, the way the boat cuts through the water. It looks good. Room for improvement, but it looks good. And that's close enough for me. Let's sound the alarm, get everybody on battle stations, let the action commence. Ring-a-ding-a-ding. Set periscope depth. I guess I should sprich auf Deutsch. Okay, ready? Auf Zero-Tiefe gehen. Add that little something, right? Schuster, we got him out of bed. At least initially then, here's the picture. At 11:31 a.m. 2nd of April. Here we've got the convoy. We know they're trending in our direction. And if we come over further west, here we see the solitary contact. And I'm almost sure, if you recall, the U-96 a little while ago radioed in. I think that's who he was radioed in. Single steamer. So we'll mark him out. We'll see if we can't pick him up at some point later on. For now, though, we're waiting for this convoy to creep in. Convoy continues to trend more or less in the direction of this line. You see the estimated central position of the convoy is right on it. And so I've set my engines to silent. We're going to start moving in. May even go set them to slow because they're still a little further away. We'll clear this old marking away. And so what I'm looking to do is, if at all possible, position myself under the center of the convoy. We'll dive down. We'll stay silent, we'll rig for ultra quiet, and once the destroyers have gone past and we're sort of in the center of the convoy, we'll look to come up to periscope depth and attack from within the middle of the convoy. At least that's the plan. We're starting to identify the ships, and you can see slightly different from what was guesstimated, and it's more a case of this rather than what I'm just deleting. We see the convoy is led by a destroyer. He is currently about 6.7 kilometers away. I have already reduced speed to silent running. Remember, aside from trying to get as many ships as we can, absolute priority is that we identify and sink the Empire ability. So, you know, all the rest are a bonus. That's the priority. But now, we'll just move a little bit further over into this position, right around there, and or until the destroyer gets within. I don't know how much their technology is improving, but let's say if the destroyer crosses, and that's not ideal. If the destroyer crosses there, then they're within about 2.5 kilometers from our boat. And at that point, I'm not going to even continue on silent. We'll go down, again, about 100 and 120 meters. Don't want to be so deep that we're creaking and that they pick up on the creaking of the boat. I'm not sure if that's a thing in the game, but clearly the deeper you go, the more the hull is crushed, the more it creaks. Any hydrophone operator is surely going to be listening out for those sort of noises as well as anything else, and so we don't want to give that away. Here we are then. The boat just about to come into 2.5, and we see there's a lot of juicy targets to be had there. Scope on middle zoom, including the destroyer that's leading the pack. Oh, huge ship there as well. I think that might be the larger of the armed merchant ships. And numerous other targets here. And so at this point, stop the engines, and we're going to go down just into the top of the yellow band. Down we go.
2 Uhr.
So coming on the left control then, switch the gyro compass off, dive planes to manual and rig for ultra quiet. And with that, everything is done. It's 12:34, just gone noon, 2nd of April, and the lead destroyer has entered within that 2.5 arc. We're down at 100 meters where we want to be. Engines are all stopped, and it's just a matter of hoping that this guy doesn't have any sort of magnetic anomaly detection equipment, because he is going to pass right over us. In fact, he is so close to passing right over the middle of us. I'm thinking about trying to creep away just on silent speed, even if we can just open the gap by about, even just 300 or 400 meters would be preferable to him literally going right over the top. So yeah, we'll set the engines to silent. We'll see if we can move just a few yards until he gets within, a few. Certainly by the time he's about there, I want to be cutting out my silence as well. Yeah, not that I'm particularly worried he's going to be able to kill me. I just don't want him ringing out the alert, letting everybody else know to start dodging, zigging and zagging. Well, here we are, just 10 or so minutes later. And the destroyer is very close to us. If you can hear the rhythmic that is a destroyer that is happily cruising alongside his friends. Certainly not one that's coming for us. As soon as we, it's a huge clue, certainly in this game. As soon as that destroyer sounds more like a steam train, then you know that he has found something and is coming for us even before the pinging starts. If we take a look on the map view now, see this guy is literally about 350 meters or so behind us. And so far he's not figured out that we're here. After another 10 tense minutes or so, he's gone by, and the first two guys on the convoy are merchants. We do have at least 2 more destroyers following up the back, but give it another 2 minutes, we'll be able to come up to periscope depth, and I think we will be lost with regards to this guy in both his baffles and the baffles of the convoy. Regarding this guy, we're going to be within the baffles as well as this guy. So I think we've got a really good chance of getting some kills here. What sort of distance is this guy on? Right, well, certainly when he gets to about there, we'll think about surfacing the boat. The order's been given. Up she goes. See how slow she's moving real time. We've not got the engines on. We're just changing how much water are in the flood tanks, and with it the buoyancy of the ship. Also had to be done careful. You didn't want to let too much water out and then the boat race up and then you breach up top. 60 meters to go. I'm aware it's a day attack, but here we are, periscope depth. It is what it is. We're going to go for it. And it's the Empire ability. This is the guy that we need. First come. Well, again, been real lucky here to identify him right off the bat. And the silhouette being the right way around, it's the flat foot, it's the lip at the front, it's the two main masts with the diagonals at the front, at the back. The single structure there with the big chimney. Recognize, we know the speed's 13. If we take a look, angle on bow, well, we're slightly behind. But at this distance, hopefully we'll make it. Let's give it around there. Distance-wise, waterline. The split is taking quite some time, so she's quite close. There's the top. I'm going to fire 2 to make sure we get her. Tube 1, high speed, tube 2. I'm going to split by about 60 meters. Aim for MOT. 40 Sekunden bis Tube 1 and 2 are out. Angle on bow, I think I misjudged it slightly. Needed to be a little further. Hopefully with the 2 torpedoes in the close proximity, it won't matter too much. If it does mess up, we'll certainly have to come round from a different position for the main target. Meanwhile, let's take advantage then.
10 Sekunden bis Einschlag.
Empire Tower, because we've got the tower looking like structure at the back. That's how I remember it. We know the speed is 13. Course. Also past a 90.
Treffer.
Nice hit.
Treffer. Feuer an Deck.
Distance.
Schwere Schäden am Rumpf. Schwere Schäden am Rumpf.
Set 1.4. Tube 3. High speed.
Bewässern.
Course.
Rohr 3 bewässert.
Let's give it there, yeah. 3, 2, 1. I'm going to aim slightly behind.
Los!
And that due to the zigging and zagging. Let's unlock. Let's have a look at the damage then. 1 tube hit, 1 missed. So far, the damage is just... seems to be fire. Look at this, full health pretty much. Despite what looks like terrific amounts of damage. We'll have to look at chasing that guy then. No choice.
40 Sekunden bis Torpedo-Einschlag.
Oh, look at this one. Don't let him see our scope. This is lots of
30 Sekunden.
tonnage, what we got here. So it's the 3 sprout at the front, the main structure with the chimney, the double sprout at the back, and then some armament on the very back. So this, technically, whether it was a freighter or not, is now basically a warship, yeah? A freighter, if you strap guns on it, you know, you strap guns to a ferry, that shoots, it becomes a warship. It's no longer just, quote-unquote, an innocent... merchant. Excellent. So looks like despite initially struggling to take damage, it has now gone down. AOB looks like about there. Distance. Waterline. Bah, she's taken a while to split. She must be real close. I want to lower the scope, but I'm going to wait until after we've taken the measurement. There we go. 400 meters. That's painfully close. Tube 5, the rear tube. If it misses, double round to the right. Do so at 650. That's fine. Close. And so she's directly behind us now. Sounds like there's been another torpedo impact somewhere. And at this point, let's get mental to lower the scope. I don't want to be seen. Silent running, and my plan... Oh, torpedoes going right into the side of that one. My plan is to come round to our left. Kind of like this, and then take another shot at the boat as she sails on. So we'll see. We'll see if that's possible. Again, we're doing this on silent. I'm thinking probably not actually the best idea. We're in the middle of the baffles. I think we're going to have to go slow. We're going to have to make use of this. We've got destroyers incoming. So make a correction. Half speed. I'm going to lower. Oh, the scope already is lowered. I'll bring you back. As we continue round, it's time to quickly upscope and see have we inflicted any damage on the ship at all. Let's see. Go on then, Menzel, up your scope. Let's have a look. There it goes. Let's see what we can see. Oh, she's listing heavily. For such a big ship with one torpedo and knocked off about a third of the health, she is still going though. And so what we're going to do is take a second shot. I don't think she's 400 meters anymore. I'm guessing we've used about 200 to do the turn, so I'm going to put 600 in. AOB, is she past? Well, she is a bit, but not by far. Let's go about there. Speed 13. Just in case she's slowed down a bit, I'm going to put 12 in. She's a big enough target that if that is a kilometer out either side, I think we'll be fine. We'll double back to the right at 600. Should we miss, we'll go high speed. Depth 2. Los.
40 Sekunden bis Torpedoeinschlag.
40 seconds. Few short moments later, I'm going to unlock. I'm that confident.
10 Sekunden bis Einschlag.
And there we go, 10 seconds. MOT.
Schäden am Rumpf.
And that looking good. Huge amounts of damage. Water's going to be engulfing her. She is off down. If she wasn't before. That's how close she is. We're on the widest zoom here and it's almost filling the scope. Destroyer's over there. Radio messages going down. No doubt SOS. I think we've got one torpedo left to fire. And that's it. And so far, it would seem that the destroyers haven't found us. And if they're pinging, they're certainly not pinging in our direction. There's a destroyer here. There's a merchant here. I'm going to go for the merchant with the one torpedo we've got left. Velocity 13. Course, well, getting close, but not yet to the 19. We know that because these two masts would be atop of each other, but we're well past 45. I'm going to go for 77. MOT distance. We haven't ID'd her. Well, she's the flat foot freighter. That one. Distance then. I'm going to have to try and guess it from here without raising the scope due to the proximity of this destroyer. Set 1.8, 2-1, high speed. If it misses, double back at 2.1, that's fine. Angle.
Rohr 1 bewässert.
Go 169, so basically 170 degrees. Los. And with that and a destroyer looking like she's closing in on our position, I think it's time to dive down. Screenshot, I think, right there for the thumbnail. Yeah. Time to dive. Silent running. Down we go, 150.
20 Meter. Der Torpedo ist auf halbem Weg zum Ziel. 40 Sekunden bis Torpedoeinschlag.
That's the destroyer that's coming for us. Oh, we got a hit. Oh, that sounded good. Apparently we're getting pinged. At this time, enough with the acoustics. We need to get back on the command station and start depth charges. Well, flank speed. Weber taking assist. You can ease off on the torpedo. We need the... Oh! Close bulkheads. see for cinematic purposes how close are these. Oh, that was close. Oh, that was really close. Really, 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 really close. Look at those. Well, we know we've sank the ship because we've got an objective complete, despite being as deep as we are. Rudder full starboard.
Kapitän. Herr Kaloy. Herr Kaloy.
Anybody?
Kapitän.
Right, Weber shook a pill out the back. And so there's the decoy pill that's going to be behind us, cavitating and causing bubbles and so forth. And so while that pill is going to be distracting the destroyers, my plan is going to come down this direction in a southeasterly direction. We've got another convoy merchant ship over here. Hopefully, while these guys are busy going after our pill, assuming it works, we will hopefully be able to pick off this guy in a little bit of peace, if that's the right word. But for now, let's continue pursuing. I'm going to give an extra assist over to Hoffman so he can reload the tubes a little quicker. I realize reloading torpedo tubes is not conducive to being silent while we're under the sea, but with the depth charges going off the pill there, we're still at flank speed anyway for now, despite being underwater. We can make a little noise for a little while, which is why I want as many assistants getting the torpedoes done as possible. So hopefully by the time we're in a shooting position, we've got at least 2 or 3 ready to go. But for now, we're continuing to try and get away. We're at flank speed at the maximum safe depth, which is about 150 meters, although the U-boats, they could in emergencies dive down to 200 meters and even deeper, and the crew did. Who knows how many went that deep and never came back to tell the tale, but many did. So we've opened a little bit of a gap between where we chucked our pill out and where we are now. If we take a look with the ruler there, about 600, 700 meters or so. So I'm going to come away from flank speed to half speed, and that in conjunction with our depth, in conjunction with the pill, hopefully the destroyers will only go for the pill. At least that is the plan. Just a few minutes later, we're hitting depth charges well astern. There we hear some more. They're going after the decoy. Fantastic. Now, I don't think that decoy works as well throughout the war, but certainly at this stage, it gives us a huge advantage. And I think with that, we're going to go full speed. We're heading in a southerly direction. This is the guy that we're trying to go for. You see, he's opened the gap by quite some. Hopefully we can get him. 5 or 10 minutes later, with no activity in our immediate surrounding, I'm electing to go periscope depth. We'll take a look, see if we see anything. We certainly don't hear anything near us. Schuster on the hydro guy. Best hydrophone operator I've ever had on the U-boats, Schuster there. We certainly don't want to lose him to anything. And so coming up now, periscope depth. We're on full speed. We're not flank speed, but we're full speed. We'll see what we see on the periscope. Potentially switch to flank speed at that point. We'll have to see. Reducing speed to silent running just to avoid us having a feather. Scope is up. And quick look round. Some quite large swell. So what have we got? A destroyer at the front seems to still be leading away. Has not decided to swing around. We've got that Empire tower. And I'm sure we took a shot at him. We must have missed. He was the one where I think I slightly misjudged the angle. We've got a flat foot over there. The Empire Halley. I call him the flat foot because there's not got this raised up lip at the back. No way is it really called a flat foot. Although, if it is, it's a huge coincidence. I'm just calling it a flat foot instead of the raised up heel. Because it's flat at the back. I don't know. I'm talking rubbish, but... Oh, they're still chucking depth charges, according to our crew. Oh, this one's listing heavily. We'll finish her off. She's about 15 or 20% left. Destroyer back there doing the rounds. That's basically where we came from. That destroyer is basically right over the top of where our pills are. 160 on the bearing. That's about right. There we see another destroyer steaming in at full pace, looking to help out. Well, that's fine by us. That pulls them both out of position. And we're going to go for this guy. So I'll lock him up. What sort of parameters then? Velocity we know is 13. Course, well, slightly ahead of the 90. Let's give it about 80. I think that's about correct. We're going to have to pick up the pace in a... Oh, of course. I keep forgetting to identify him. The flat foot distance. Needs me more than just to say. It needs to be fed into the TDC, the targeting computer that they had, which again, just an incredible box of tricks. Especially this one where then the torpedoes, if they miss, they can start doing a predefined search pattern, and to think all of that was could be set. 1.7 on the distance. I'm gonna go for it. If it misses, come left after 1.9 by an angle of 167. Dos. Let's see what goods that, if any, will produce. I'm just going to fire one torpedo. I realize there's a second merchant behind it. It feels like I'm being a bit dicey. We'll see. So with the destroyers way out of position over here on the map, instead of going silent, I'm going to go to half speed. I realize there's a slight risk of them spotting the feather of the torpedo. The feather of the periscope. This torpedo looking good. The one that we fired at the Empire heli. I'm going to start moving to close the gap, hoping that I can pick off this guy. This ship here is the ship that we took a shot at that's got a tiny bit of health left that, at least for now, isn't sinking. This torpedo actually running very good indeed. I'll bring you back.
Der Torpedo ist auf 30 Sekunden.
Well,
20 Sekunden.
It's very close indeed. Let's upscope to see what we can see. It's going to grab it on the very back, or it's going to miss it just behind. And rather than looking on the map and knowing for sure, it's a moment of tension aboard the boat. And I think the guy looking at the stopwatch is beginning to start shaking his head, thinking it's missed. And indeed it has, but look at this. We set the torpedo to double back round. Oh, I thought it was 174 degrees on the turn, not ahead. 174. Oh, damn it. Well, you live and learn, right? I wanted the torpedo to do a 174 degree turn, not quite 180, not turn onto a heading of 174. Okay, we live and learn. We live and learn. That was a mistake. And even if that hits it now, which it's... Oh, it's carrying on turning. What's going on here? Is that going to get it? That is so close. It's right there. It just did this crazy turn. It's right off the...
Torpedo Versager.
Oh, don't say it was a dud. Well, it hit. I think the angle was just too shallow for it to detonate. Oh, I thought for sure it had missed. Then it decided to do this crazy turn. Unfortunately, it was just too shallow. Alright, taking another shot then. Full speed air. Let's go flank speed. I realize that is very dangerous, but we've got such a distance. By the time they get here, they're at least 3 or if not 4 kilometers away. We're going to take another shot. Raise scope. AOB. Well, we're slightly behind now. Around there. We know his speed is still 13. Distance is 1.3. Tube 1, high speed shot. In fact, max speed. If it misses, it's the fat one, the older of the style. But regardless, if it misses, double left at 1.5. Depth, I'm going to reduce that to 1.5 meters because it is a smaller ship. MOT, Los.
Los!
Just 20 seconds or so later, there you see it, the torpedo. Looks like it is heading towards, oh, it's going to be close again. Back on the scope. It's going to be behind MOT if we do get it. Come on. Come on. What a waste. What a waste. 2 torpedoes. Look how close it was. I realize I didn't track it live, but that was so close. If we're really lucky, it might get this guy, but it's unlikely. We'll see if it doubles round as we'd programmed. I'll bring you back for that. Well, here it is. It has doubled round, and it's coming in, and it looks like this could slap right into it. Could. It's looking very close. I wish I could zoom in more without losing sight of them. I think this might actually be a hit. I was all ready to write this one off.
Treffer.
Yes, from the other side.
Schwere Schäden am Rumpf.
That felt good. I was all ready to write off torpedo number 2. And in actual fact, it was a good hit. Has it caused any damage at all? I think I mean, the whole fucking ship moved, but it doesn't look like it's caused her very much damage. At least not initially. I've given it 2 minutes and it's been minimal damage. We've also got destroyers racing towards our position. Still slightly behind this guy. He's currently tacking away. But we're very, very close. This is the minimum zoom. It's taking forever to split. I can't let him get away. I realise I'm chucking good money after bad here, but I can't let him get away. Tube 1. Everything's been missing towards his rear aspect, so we'll fire this at the front. Torpedoes coming. Max speed. Oh, he's tacking towards. That'll do. 3, 2, 1. Los.
Los!
40 Sekunden bis Torpedoeinschlag. 30 Sekunden.
We've been spotted anyway. We can't do any more.
20 Sekunden.
Command station. Hoffman. I'm going to get Hoffman to radio off.
10 Sekunden bis
And the other
Einschlag.
thing. Oh, that's looking perfect.
Treffer.
Oh, that couldn't have been any closer if I'd had all day on a stationary target. At times, someone's saying you took 3 shots at it. Even a broken clock's right twice a day. And Empire Halley there going down. Radioing off these messages then. And that destroyer looking very dangerous indeed. My plan is to be super daring and see if we can get this guy here before we have to dive. Now, this destroyer is so close. It's going to have to be very, very fast.
Hüllenbruch. Sie sinken.
We're at flank speed. There's the other guy. It's the tower style. I realise we're dicing with death here. Speed 13.
Sonarwellen, Herr Kaloi.
Course, we're slightly ahead. Right about there. Distance, mid-zoom is going to be around there. To around there. 2.2. Tubes 2. Tubes 3. We'll split the 60. That's fine. Should it miss? Double round? Yes.
Rohr 2, fertig.
Los.
Bewässert.
And with that, tubes 2 and 3 are flooded. Tubes 2 and 3 go out. We'll radio off. Oh, look at that. I actually captured the torpedo coming out before. Glad I caught it there, even if it was by accident. We're radioing off that final ship that's been sunk. I'm going to unlock. And if we spin round there, there we see it. Destroyer heading straight for us. It's time to go down. Crash dive.
50 Meter.
20 Meter.
Down we go.
Herr Kaloi. 40. Ein Sonar hat uns geortet.
Well, it looks like we dived before our radio transmission was able to be done.
Direkt über uns her.
They're right on top of us. And if we come inside, we're expecting torpedo charges any moment. We have actually received new communications despite our depth. Massive naval okay, because it was transmitted from right next to us.
80.
And interestingly enough, the guy did not get depth charges off. At least not initially.
Sekunden. 100. 20 Sekunden.
Right, let's reduce to slow speed. Continue diving down. Rudder
10
full
Sekunden
port.
bis Einschlag. Treffer. 110.
Oh, we got it. We got the boat that we took that long-range shot at as we were diving. At least one torpedo's hit it. How much depth have we got?
30.
Hoffman, give us a shallow ping. At least 125 meters beneath the bow. Okay, so we were as deep as crush depth will allow. So at least we know we're not going to hit anything.
150.
We're at maximum depth now. 5 minutes, 6 minutes later, I thought we were getting away, but then a destroyer, I think with a lucky sonar ping, has got us. If we take a look on the map, well, there we hear it. We were literally over here. So yeah, we managed to cover quite a significant distance. It may have even been more than 5 minutes. The destroyers were out of position at the time, but since then, I think one of them with a lucky ping has found us. Well, another 5 minutes have passed, and I think I was worrying about nothing. The destroyer here carried this way, this guy went that way, and we're continuing to escape from the trend of the convoy. Quarter into the rear. We'll hope that these destroyers get out the way. The lead destroyer just not interested at all. 2 merchant ships remain, zigging and zagging, and this is the heavily damaged one that we'll look to finish off. Well, it's 45 minutes later. Hydrophone guy says contacts distant and fading. That is the heavily damaged ship that's listing. We'll finish her off shortly, but first of all we'll continue Sweeping the scope round as high as we can due to the waves. And there we see the 2 destroyers, the 2 merchant ships disappearing in the distance. And looks like destroyers are at high speed, trying to get back into position with the convoy. The lead destroyer well out of sight over the horizon. And so I think it's all good, good to go. We'll give it a few more minutes and we'll surface the boat. A further 10 minutes have passed. The order's been given to surface the boat. We're also going to cancel the alarm, dive planes back to electric, open the bulkheads, gyropopers, what am I talking about? The gyro compass can come on, the pumps can come on, the electric compressors come on, and lighting can return to normal. We're right next to the boat. There were also some lifeboats nearby. There they are. We'll go for these guys first, see if we've got any officers that we can pick up. And we'll set engine to half speed. Klaus with a single assist. We'll hold off on radioing the transmissions. Don't want any warships potentially with radio direction, finding equipment, picking us up. Give 1 assist on to Hoffman, assist his time there reloading the torpedoes. Alright, first lot of lifeboats then. Lifeboat number 2. Captain and engineer, welcome aboard, our first survivors from the patrol. Here we are, second little group of rescue boats, lifeboats. Any officers aboard? We'll start with lifeboat number 4. Just 2 sailors. Lifeboat 3. Captain and the engineer. That's all we're interested in. Everybody else, Spain's that way. Only about 100 miles, so you'll be there by tomorrow if you get rowing. Currently approaching a 3rd and final group of lifeboats that we've managed to identify. Just wait till the sub comes to a stop. There we go. Any officers, captain and engineer. Brilliant. Often the captain goes down with the boat, but in this case not. And so with the survivors picked up, that's given a little more time for the distant convoy to get out of position. I think it's time for some deck gun practice. The captain himself has decided to do it, where we've positioned ourselves 1.2 kilometers away from the ship. We're going to zoom in using the sight. Armor-piercing rounds are selected. Let's wait for the waves to push us into position. And... good hit. Good hit. Good hit. Switch over now to high explosive rounds. Good hit. Good hit. Not so good. Much better. Good hit. And she's going down. Very nice indeed. Captain showing, if it has to, he's still got what it takes. With many of the officers tired, Captain is also going to be the one who gets to employ use of the radio. We've still got a lot of people topside due to our proximity with the Navy, but I think with that we can go full speed ahead and we'll lay in a course back to our original patrol sector. That laid in, the 2 queued messages go off. That's going to earn us 4,350 Reichsmarks and the rest, as well as the reputation for sinking the enemy ship. I hope you enjoyed the episode today. Do join us again. But until next time, from the U-48, the 2nd of April 1941, somewhere in the Northeast Atlantic, have a good day. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. Wherever in the world you may be, take care from me. Bye-bye.